So, hi everybody, welcome to our podcast and our Wellbeing Week. And this week we have Alan Clark with us as our special guest. And it's particularly poignant because it's coaching week for us. So, hi Alan, nice to see you today.
Hi Marie, good to see you too.
And tell us who you are and what do you do?
Well, I call myself the management whisperer. I'm a management coach and trainer. And the idea of the whispering is that a lot of the time I'm not telling people what to do, and I'm asking questions to help them work out their solution that works for them in their situation.
Right, very good, very good. I'm intrigued to find out more. So tell me a bit about your career path and how did you get into coaching?
Okay, my career path, for the last 27 years, I've been largely independent professional on coaching and training. Initially, it was more training than coaching, but it became apparent over time that coaching is very powerful in getting people to own their actions in future, rather than telling people what to do because they don't own it. Prior to that, I was general manager for 10 years for the German company's operation here in Redditch in Worcestershire. And before that, I was a practicing chartered engineer. These days, I'm a chartered engineer and a chartered quality professional. So that's my background. Came to the Midlands many years ago and then went away and then came back again because we've been here for the last 30 years or so. And why do I like living in the Midlands? Well, it's lovely and there's lovely people.
The pull of the Midlands brought you back to us.
Oh, glad to, yes.
And you've got a massive, extensive career then before you started coaching, but you've been doing coaching for what, over 20 years?
Well, probably more like about half of the 20 odd years. And it's a mixture of coaching and training. It starts out, helps people. The training side is about giving people some guidance, but basically a lot of this is, there's some very simple things that can help people to manage. And in fact, that's my book, Simply Manage.
Fantastic.
And the idea really is keeping things simple and forget about the politics and all the ego trips and things. If you work with the people, you'll get more buzz out of life than you will if you keep looking at your own agenda. That's my point of view anyway.
Well, that's really excellent advice. So I bet over those years of you trading on your own as a business, you've learned lots and lots along the way. So what advice do you wish you had been given pre-starting up your own business?
It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. Why do you say that? What happened with you?
I've learned that development of almost anything is more like an S curve. So there's a period when you're putting things in place and when you're starting to develop the business, and then it will take off and come to a point eventually where it will start to level off again, and maybe you need new ideas, who knows. But people who draw business plans with straight lines on haven't been in the real world, because the most important thing is about learning from what's happening, because learning what works. I was just looking the other day at, in fact I've dug it out, especially there's a book called The Art of the Start 2.0 by a man called Guy Kawasaki, who serial entrepreneur, former marketing guy at Apple. and he says basically that you do what works, okay, and don't do what doesn't work. It's as simple as that, because you don't know. There's a lot of wishful thinking. You just gotta go with what works. So, and the most important thing is, when it doesn't work, don't beat yourself up. Say, so what did I learn?
That is great advice. And one of the things I learned when I was at University of Worcester doing my entrepreneurial degree was the valley of death. It's like a 3-year curve, you know, so it is a roller coaster ride, but I think the most important thing, like you've rightly said, Alan, it's about learning through each of those processes.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you say your business is the same model now, or is it completely different?
Well, it's evolved over time, and in fact, it's gone through various iterations over time.
Yeah.
And certainly, it's currently undergoing a change at the moment because of the coronavirus situation. So, whereas I might have, I've been doing online coaching with people before, but now it's my model at the moment has to be online coaching.
Yeah.
But
we'll talk a bit more about that in a little while, because we're going to visit that sort of what your business model looks like now. But what I'd like to ask you is, what do you believe to be the biggest challenge and opportunities for people who are considering starting up their own business?
The biggest challenge, I think one of the challenges is the temptation to rush into things and not to do really thorough preparation.
Right.
And even that thorough preparation, once it's like, as they say, you know, battle plans don't stand contact with the enemy. Well, business plans don't stand contact with the customer. And so, but basically, do the preparation, know where you are, know what your business is, particularly as Simon Sinek would say, know your why. Why are you doing this? And what is your emotional thing? What do you think you're contributing? But I mean, you've done all the preparation. Go into the real world, try and see what happens, and learn from it. I mean, I'm sorry, but it won't work out the way you think it will. That's what I've learned, and it's my advice to people is, when it doesn't work out the way you think it was going to work out, what did you learn?
That sort of preparation leads nicely into the 5 P's about preparation.
Yes.
So yeah, I quite like that. And what would you say from an opportunity wise at the moment for entrepreneurs thinking about starting up?
Well, I think there's always opportunities, and particularly not doing what has always been done. Business as usual doesn't apply anymore. So don't, for goodness sake, copy anybody else. If you've got a new way of doing something, then it's worth going down the route and taking the risk, because it is a risk, and you've got to be aware of that. And if you've got an online offering of some sort, or a mail order offering, or whatever it happens to be, then its uniqueness is going to give you a better chance. It's not going to be a guarantee, but you make your luck by working for it, and here my phrase again, and learning from your experience.
Yeah. So innovation then. So you think innovation is the way forward?
Well, doing something differently, and innovation doesn't have to be massive innovation, but if you do it in a slightly different way to somebody else, there's all sorts of aspects of innovation that we could go into. We haven't got time to look at today, but people doing the same old is a recipe for disappointment, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so
So the question is of somebody starting a new business is, so how is this different? What's the advantage for the customer?
Yeah. So innovation can come in sort of different guises, can't it? Like you said, radical innovation or incremental innovation. So thinking about, what did you say, like your unique selling points of your business? Is that what you mean?
Yes. You've got to believe. Yeah, you've got to have something that people are going to see something in. A lot of the time, you have to be. I also have to say is that you, the entrepreneur, are what people are buying. So don't try and be like everybody else. If you're not comfortable with it, it goes back to what is your why? What are you about? And I think that's really important. Being consistent with your own values and beliefs is really, really important. People will detect a sham if you're trying to be that, I don't know, hard-nosed salesperson or whatever, or person who's got everything, I don't know, does everything except for them. You've got to be authentic. You've got to build the trust. You've got to be.
That's a great word there, Alan, being authentic.
Yeah, you've got to be you.
Love that. That's great. So we sort of touched on earlier about the changes of business models now and the need to innovate. But how have you adapted then? Have you had to diversify how you coach, for example?
Well, yes, I've got my coaching model and adapting the coaching model so that it can work online. It's not too much of a move for me because I have had coaching sessions with people online. I don't think there's a lot of movement, but nowadays I offer what I call my A3 coaching, executive coaching 6-pack, because my coaching's based on solution focused coaching. Usually we can work through to a solution for people in about 6 sessions. It doesn't have to go on forever, but it does mean that you have to work out where you want to be to start with quite clearly, and to then progressively work through, again, finding out what works. I also, by the A3 refers to a format that was developed originally in Toyota. I shall just do a quick flash here for the video version. That it's on an A3 sheet of paper, hence the A3, which is basically provides a structure. It's very similar to the structure of classic solution focused coaching, and the idea is that with a structure, people know where they are. They're not just thrashing around and perhaps missing something critical, and really understanding what the problem is and how to move forward.
Yeah, because we previously worked on a business idea that I had, and you helped me massively from a coaching perspective using that A3 business model when I was developing my concept around the campsite, and that was really helpful for me. But what sort of things would entrepreneurs sort of get from using that A3? What sort of areas does the A3 help with?
Okay, so first thing is to really understand. I think it keeps coming back to your why, and what it is you're going to offer people. I think it's really you've got to be really careful about thinking about what the current situation in the particular sector or industry that you're aiming to sell to. And by the way, you need to focus fairly well on that. But I focus on helping people in management. I do business coaching, but I do focus on helping managers with their issues rather than going off into other aspects of it. But you've got to be very, really clear about what the issues are in the particular sector, and then what is it you're going to bring to that sector? What's your goal? How will you appear to that sector? And having had an idea of what you're going to end up offering, or what it might generally look like, is to dig down to really get some evidence and facts about what's actually happening out there. Who's the competition, for example? Or if there isn't any competition, what's the basic problem? And why is it the basic problem? Dig down to truly understand. And you can only really do that by talking to the customers or potential customers. Sometimes you can get away, if you've got the ability to sustain yourself in some way financially, just putting something out there and talk to people about it. But ideally, before you commit yourself and all your money, finding ways of researching, so what's the real underlying problem here? And then going on from there to looking at the way to present your offering to the marketplace, and a plan, including risk analysis. And then, so how would you know you succeeded? And being aware, as I said earlier, being aware that the plan won't stand contact with the customer, and be prepared to change the plan. And equally, one of the things about this is, in a lot of ways, being an entrepreneur or business startup, is that it's a creative process, right? So it's a creative process. What you don't want, what you want to do, is if you see a chink of light or an opportunity, bearing in mind, as long as it's consistent with the values and who you are, and generally your body of knowledge that you have, if you see an opportunity, it might be that you then morph your offering more to meet the need. Because if you haven't dug down and seen what the need is or the opportunity, then you're on shaky ground. Does that answer your question?
Yes, massively. It's really helpful, because I think quite often people sort of think, right, I'm going to do this, but actually they need to be more focused. So do you think having a niche for your business is important? I mean, do you have a niche?
I work in my aim, although I'll help anybody, and I've helped so in entrepreneurs such as yourself.
You have indeed, massively.
And worked with, and over time, and I've worked with directors of £100 million public companies and large public sector organisations. Really, my current focus is on the medium-sized company that are 20 to 50, or perhaps even a bit beyond the 50 million area. When life is starting to get more complicated for the business, but I'll help anybody if they want to.
And you said you've moved your A3 to an online program. So how many sessions do they get, and what's involved in that?
Well, basically there are six sessions. So it's I call it the six pack, hence the 6 sessions. I won't flash my abs at you at this stage. It's but the idea is that we can usually cover all the sections in the A3 within it varies within perhaps 3 or 4 or even 5 sessions, but it pays to take it to the 6, I think,
Yeah.
because you can then look at the follow-up and what the learning has been in sessions 5 and 6. So what did you learn from what you do, what you've tried to do so far?
Yeah.
Sometimes it may, the area where one is trying to come up with recommendations, or as we sometimes call them, countermeasures to the solutions to the problem. Sometimes talking to people and sharing the ideas with people can go on longer than you anticipate. But by and large, 6 sessions covers most problems. But this comes back to being clear about what it is you're doing.
Right.
And not having a broad brush and saying, "Oh, I'm working with people in any. I can help any business. I can help any business." Doesn't help anybody. And I particularly focus on management issues rather than all of the commercial issues. They may come into it, but my questioning will be along the lines of, so how does your team gonna work with the customer, and that sort of question.
Yeah, sounds really excellent stuff. So my question to you is, who's inspired you to set up for yourself in your own business, or who out there at the moment do you think's innovating that inspires you still to keep doing what you're doing all these years?
Well, I originally pressed was tempted to press the eject button from my employment, because the management of at the time was not meeting my needs, shall we say?
Right.
And so I pressed the escape button, and I didn't really know what I was talking about, but I thought, I could go and start my own business. But along the way, I came across the work of a man called Deming, Deming, who was known for something that people called total quality management back in the 80s. It seemed, from my experience at the time, he seemed to be talking complete sense. His books weren't, what can I say? They weren't works of great literature, but there was the number of the message that he had was fabulous in terms of taking forward a balanced, thought through approach to management. And that's the guy who's put me on this path originally. And then there have been other people along the way who are consistent with his ideas. And I still feel, even 27 years later, because I came across him just as I was planning to leave, I still feel that the basic message that he had of having what I now call like a 2020 vision of management knowledge, having a balanced view of knowledge rather than just being all about spreadsheets or artificial intelligence or whatever. It's about a balanced approach, and that balanced approach is the only way you're going to get magical results.
I think you've done extremely well, Alan, in keeping up with the times. And I know that both of us have read Warren Knight's book, Think Digital First.
Yes.
But you've actually done his program. Am I right in thinking that?
Yes, I've done his program. Yeah. I'm currently using his social media strategy and routine as to keep sharing my opportunity, my offering, and to find opportunities. Yeah, Warren's a great guy, and knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's demonstrated in your social media strategy, because you've got a fantastic presence on LinkedIn. So that leads me on nicely
And
to
Twitter, and Twitter.
oh, and Twitter. Absolutely. We've got to remember Twitter.
Make sure you hashtag Worcestershire Hour.
Ah, so you're local to Worcestershire then?
Oh, absolutely, yes. That's certainly. I suppose that's a part of my offering that I don't, my focus that I don't play up that much. But I'm happy to stray out of Worcestershire. But I think it's a lovely county, and
Yeah,
I
it's
really,
great to support other businesses, isn't it?
yeah. And it's a lovely place to do business, Worcestershire.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And Worcestershire Hour is just one of the many different hours that we've got going on in the county, and they've got a real vibrant sort of interactive community on our Twitter hour. So yes, we can follow you on Twitter as well.
Yes, absolutely. I call myself in line with my book, the Simply Manage. I'm the Simply Manage guy on Twitter. If people want to contact me or email me, it's Alan Clark at keybiz.com. That's KEYBIZ.com. Yeah, I think you've got to use the current technology to promote your business. It's absolutely essential. You can supplement it by other means, but in terms of building relationships, it's one of the things that I took from Warren Knight was there is a pathway, and you've got to go down that pathway before people are going to buy from you. Certainly in the modern era, it's very rare for anybody. I mean, it's not like buying I was going to use buying a chocolate bar, let's say, and no names, no brands, no pack drill. Buying a chocolate bar, or a penknife, going into a shop, you can buy it and go out again. Business sales is not like that. People don't buy on spec, and anybody who thinks that they do is going to have a very sad awakening. You've got to build relationships.
Absolutely. First and foremost. Sorry, Alan.
It goes back to what we were saying about being authentic and building trust.
Yeah, totally agree. And what a fantastic, that half hour has just whizzed by. You've given us so many fantastic tips and advice, Alan. And can you just remind me again, how do people contact you other than Twitter?
Yeah, if other than Twitter, the direct messaging me on Twitter, the other way is just to email me. That's Alan Clark, that's ALANCLARK at keybiz.com, and keybiz is KEYBIZ.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alan, for today. And I hope you've inspired other people to set up and understand the importance of having that business coach to help you along your entrepreneurial journey. So thank you very much, and thank you for being a guest today.
You're very welcome, Marie. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Alan.
Bye.
Bye.